It's been 12 months since I left my corporate job to set up my own one-person business. And in this video, I'm going to reflect back on the last 12 months, what it's been like, what I've learned, what's been hard, what's been easier than expected. It'll be raw, it's pretty unfiltered, I haven't scripted this. I now run my own six-figure business by myself. It's just me at home with my cats, sitting in my leggings, playing my computer for the most part. And my transformation since leaving my corporate job has just been crazy, like totally insane. And even just a couple of years ago, I never could have imagined that I could do this, that I could run my own business, that I could have as much freedom and as much success as I do have now. Really, everything has changed for me just in the span of 1 year. I asked my followers, what do you want to know about the last year of my life, about setting up my own business? So in this video, I'm going to go through the questions that were sent in. I will answer them as honestly and comprehensively as I can. If there are things that you want to know and that aren't covered in this video, just leave me a comment below. I'm quite happy to make a part 2. All right, quick bit of context and then let's jump into the audience questions. I run a business called The Curious Route, very deliberately named after my deep belief that curiosity is absolutely your superpower for solving problems and being successful. I'm a communications consultant, so I help organizations all around the world to communicate better with their employees. I also work directly with communication professionals all over the world to help them improve their skills, knowledge, and expertise. I worked inside organizations for more than a decade, working in internal communications. I worked in the charity sector, in financial services, in policing, in tech. I have seen it all. I'm also an author. This year I published my first book. And finally, I'm a content creator. I create content across YouTube, LinkedIn, TikTok, and my email newsletter. So you can see my business is very varied and there's a lot of different stuff going on. Okay, let's jump into questions. Let's do the first question from Sally. I'm going to read this out. Sally asks, what was your biggest fear or concern about going it alone, and what would you tell yourself now about that? So this is a great question because I said I would be raw and honest in this video. I was really terrified to set up my own business. I never in a million years thought that I could do it. I never thought that I was good enough to be able to do that. I was always in deep admiration of anyone who would have the guts to leave the stability and safety of a corporate job and go and forge their own path. Never thought that I would do it. It had been in the back of my mind for the last couple of years as that's something I would like to do, but I was just way too nervous to do it. So the main thing that I was worried about when I took the leap was money. I didn't know if anybody would hire me. I didn't know if I would get any clients. I had just left a pretty well-paid job in the corporate world. So I didn't know if I would be able to match that salary, if I would be able to pay all our bills. I really didn't know. How I got over that is I told myself, just try it for 12 months. It doesn't have to be forever. Try it for 12 months. If it doesn't work, just go get another job. There's loads of jobs. So I think that helped me a lot, and that is what I would say to anybody else. Save up some money, take the leap, and then try it. If it doesn't work out, at least you tried. I think I was always worried if I didn't try it and then I got to age 70 or 80, I'd look back and always regret it. Sally also asks, what's your biggest learning? Sally, you're asking me the hard ones here. What's my biggest learning? I think my biggest learning is to back yourself and feel like you can just do your own thing. You absolutely don't need to mimic anyone else's best practice. You don't have to look to your competitors to see what they're doing so you can do that. Find what you enjoy, find what you're really good at, find how you can really add value to your clients and do that. It really doesn't matter what anybody else is doing. Okay, let's look at another question. This one comes in from Orla, a fine Irish name there, Orla. How do you structure your time to fit in the amount of work needed? This is a good question. This is something I really struggled with at the start, honestly, because when I started out and I had that fear of like, no one's going to hire me, I don't know what I'm doing, I pretty much said yes to any work that came along, any opportunities that came up, I said yes to everything. And that quickly added up, and I became totally overwhelmed, and I just didn't have enough hours in my day to manage everything. So I learned early on quickly that I needed to have some systems in place. So I now have systems in place for content creation, for managing client work, for managing my diary. A question I do get a lot is, do I have any employees or any assistants? I don't. I have been kind of humming and hawing, do I want to hire a PA or a virtual assistant? At the moment, I don't think so. I manage everything myself. I kind of like it. I have the freedom to do my own thing. I don't need to manage anybody or anybody's workload, and I like that. So I use a lot of technology. I use a lot of systems to just keep me super organized. And what I tend to do is to create really focused priorities of things I want to do. So that means I get through the meaty work that's important to me. I don't miss my deadlines, and I can stay consistent with things like content creation and delivery of client work. Okay, let's look at another question. This one comes in from Louis. Louis wants to know, what is the biggest challenge you faced during this first year? Can you see I didn't script this? I think the biggest challenge is, again, going back to that idea of having confidence in myself and thinking, going from at the start, not even just can I do this, but almost a feeling of I can't do this. I'm not good enough to do this. And then going, as the year has gone on, I've got to a place of, actually, yes, I can do this. I am absolutely totally capable of doing this. Not only that, but I enjoy doing this, and the feedback I'm getting from clients is phenomenal. I'm genuinely helping them solve their problems. That's what it's all about. So I think the biggest challenge for me this year has been me. And once I learned to get out of my own way and to back myself, things have been much, much easier. Okay, another question. This one comes in from Mathilde. What is your favorite moment of this year? I think I have two. Can I pick two? I know that's cheating. One is like the most crazy, surreal moment of the year is I got invited to go and visit 10 Downing Street in the Cabinet Office in London, which even just saying that out loud just seems bonkers. But one of their senior communicators invited me over to visit, so I couldn't book my flight quick enough. So I went over and I got a tour all around the Cabinet Office, got to take a photo outside the very famous 10 Downing Street door, also got to meet Larry the cat, who is the famous cat that lives at Downing Street. The whole experience was so incredible, so surreal. I texted my mother just before I walked into the building. I remember vividly, I texted her like, what is going on? Like, who do I think I am? So that was really special. I think I will never forget that as long as I live. The other very remarkable moment, which has really only just happened, is publishing my first book. And even saying that, I'm like, is this real life? Is this really me? So if you'd asked me when I was a kid, like, what do you want to do when you grow up? I would have said, I want to write books. I was just such a bookworm, total nerd for books when I was a kid. And always wanted to write. I always thought I would write novels, but I have written my first business book. I have it here. This is my book, Innovative Internal Communication. This is all about dismantling the idea of best practice in internal communication and forging a new route to success based on creativity, curiosity, and innovation. I'm so proud of this book. I love this book. I can't believe I've written a book. So they would be my two top moments of the year. Next question comes from Sarah. Sarah wants to know the steps you took to acquire your first clients as a solopreneur. All of my clients pretty much come through the content I've been creating on LinkedIn. I've been a content creator on LinkedIn for years, and I didn't know why I started posting on LinkedIn. I think I just enjoy it. I like content. I like sharing my knowledge and interacting with people and sharing expertise. I've been posting on LinkedIn pretty solidly for 3, 4, 5 years, and all my clients pretty much come through my content on LinkedIn. So my very first client, for example, was literally just as I launched my business. it's someone who had been following me on LinkedIn for some time and reached out and said, hey, I think I've got this problem. I think you're the person to help me solve it. Can we work together? Now, there's lots of different ways you can look to get clients. One very popular thing that I don't do, but lots of other people do, is to speak at events for free. So that might be online events, that might be conferences, in person, any kind of events where you can get up in front of an audience. Personally, I don't do that for free because when I deliver a speaking engagement or a talk, it's going to be really bloody good. It's loads of work to prep it, make the content, deliver the content really well, engage with the audience. That is work that I deserve to be paid for. So I don't do that for free, but that is a way if you're starting off to just get your name out there and to start getting people aware of who you are. All right, let's take another question. This one comes from Joanna. Joanna says, did you have a moment when everything seemed to click into place or you thought, I'm on the right track? What was it? This has kind of only happened very recently. And like I said, I'm doing this a year now. It's only the last month or two that I've started to feel a bit more relaxed and a bit more like, I've got this. Like, I know what I'm doing. I am very confident that I can make money doing this. I'm not sure there was a specific moment. I think it was just this gradual realization that there is constantly work coming in. There are always people that want to work with me. I think as I started to attract more brands that wanted to work with me, that was kind of a bit of a eureka moment of, oh, this is a thing, this is working. So maybe for other people, they feel like they're on the right track from day one. That wasn't me. It took me months and months and months to feel like that. Okay, another question from another Sarah. Sarah Sweet asks, what kept you up at night in the first few months? Money and organization. Was I gonna make money doing this? And how was I gonna manage everything in the time that I had with no help? She also asked, if you could do it over again, what would you do differently, if anything? Do you know what? I'm not sure I would do anything differently. Because I've learned so much. I've learned a lot about the type of work that I enjoy doing, the type of people I like working with, but I had to do stuff that I didn't like to figure that out. So actually, I don't think I would change a thing. Sarah also asks, what's the plan for the next 12 months? I mean, I don't know. I don't have a master plan. I tend to focus on quarters rather than the year. So I'm going to look at what am I going to focus on for the next 3 months? What do I want to deliver in that time? What is the most impactful and enjoyable thing that I can focus on for my business? So I think the next thing for me is to offer more training and workshops. I really love teaching people stuff. My students always give me great feedback. So I think I'll start building more workshops and training that I can offer people online, both on demand and live. Okay, one last question. Jennifer asks, what's your best advice for someone starting out in internal communications? Internal communications is an amazing, amazing industry to work in. Like, I love it. I can't recommend it enough. My top advice when you're starting out is to be nosy, to be curious. When I was in a role many years ago, I remember meeting with a strategy director. He'd been in that company for like 30 years. And he gave me a piece of advice, really off the cuff, but it stayed with me for years. He told me, go and make a nuisance of yourself. So go and invite yourself into meetings, have conversations about things that you think maybe aren't relevant to you. Go and understand the business as a whole. So my advice is to be curious. Ask loads of questions. If things are confusing or don't make sense, ask lots of questions, try to understand what that is. And also, don't stay in your lane. Like, you don't have to just think about communication. You can think about the bigger picture, and that will help you understand how communication actually helps to solve problems for the business and helps the organization as a whole. Okay, that's all the questions. If there's other questions that you want to know, drop them in the comments below. I'm quite happy to make a part 2. I quite enjoyed this. These were hard questions, so thank you very much for sending them in. If you've got this far, you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button now, and I will see you the next time.